Clinton Road, New Jersey. As far as haunted places go, this stretch of asphalt might seem benign during the day. The sun peeks through tall pine trees, casting dappled light on the road below. But come nightfall, everything changes. The chirping of the crickets is drowned out by a chilling silence, the kind that feels oppressive, as though the night itself is holding its breath. A thick mist rolls in, making the winding road slippery and the surroundings vague, a shroud that hides secrets from decades past. Legends say that this road is cursed. Locals speak of cars suddenly stalling, of phone signals dropping without reason, and of eerie apparitions that appear and disappear without a trace. But perhaps the most disturbing tale of all is that of a young boy, said to have met an untimely end by the side of the road, who now lurks near a bridge, tossing coins into the water to anyone brave or foolish enough to approach. Despite the grim tales, many choose to dismiss the legends as just that, legends. But for those who have dared to traverse this haunted stretch at night, the tales are anything but fiction. On this particular night, a couple, eager to test the lore, decides to take a drive on Clinton Road. Meet Jake and Lucy. Jake, with his ruffled brown hair and carefree laugh, has always been an adventurer at heart. The type who'd explore abandoned places, seek out ghost stories, and insist that there's no such thing as the supernatural. His skepticism is a shield he wears proudly. Lucy, on the other hand, is more of a realist. Her sleek black hair and almond-shaped eyes seem to always observe, always analyze. She indulges Jake's fantasies but remains grounded, keeping one foot in the tangible world. They had been dating for 2 years and shared countless memories, from lazy Sundays watching movies to hiking trips upstate. This night, however, was meant to be something different, a unique date night. Lucy had hesitated when Jake pitched the idea of a drive down Clinton Road. She had heard the stories and wasn't as eager to dismiss them as mere fables. But love has a way of making us do things we might not otherwise, and she wanted to be supportive. Sitting in their old, red sedan, they joked about what they might see. Jake mockingly made ghost noises, trying to lighten the mood, while Lucy playfully hit his arm, telling him not to jinx their journey. The jovial atmosphere was a facade, for beneath their banter was an undeniable tension. They were both aware of the gravity of where they were heading, but neither wanted to admit it. The car's headlights pierced the darkness, revealing the narrowing, winding road of Clinton ahead. Trees lined both sides, their overhanging branches forming a dense canopy that seemed to swallow the road. The once clear night sky was now hidden, leaving only the car's dimming lights as a beacon. As they ventured further down the road, Jake's playful demeanor began to fade. His grip tightened on the steering wheel, and now and then he'd glance in the rearview mirror as if expecting to see something trailing them. Lucy, trying to dispel the mounting tension, turned on the radio. But instead of the latest hits, all they heard was static. She toggled between stations, but the result was the same, an unsettling white noise. Lucy's pulse quickened, and she turned off the radio. The only sound now was the car's engine and the occasional rustle of leaves. Suddenly, the car began to sputter. Jake pressed on the accelerator, but the car was unresponsive. "Come on, not now," he murmured, panic evident in his voice. The car's momentum carried them a little further before it came to a complete halt. Stranded on Clinton Road, in the dead of night, with nothing but shadows for company, Lucy whispered, "Did you see that?" pointing to the side of the road where a shimmering reflection caught her eye. It was water. A small stream flowed gently, its movement seeming oddly out of place in the stillness. Jake, trying to regain some semblance of control, replied, "It's just water, loose. We're fine." But even he didn't sound convinced. He tried to start the car again, but the engine just groaned. Lucy's heart raced, and she felt a cold chill down her spine. She remembered the tales of the boy and the coins. Swallowing her fear, she whispered, "We should stay in the car, Jake." As the minutes dragged on, each tick of the clock amplifying their unease, the quiet of the night was interrupted by the distant sound of a truck horn. It was drawing nearer. From a distance, the rhythmic sound of a truck's horn echoed eerily through the dense woods. It was a familiar, yet utterly foreign sound, juxtaposed against the unnerving silence of the night. Lucy and Jake exchanged worried glances, both aware of the legends surrounding phantom trucks on Clinton Road. The horn blared again, closer this time, and with it came the faint hum of an engine. "Jake," Lucy whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "What if it's one of those phantom trucks?" Jake tried to laugh it off, but the quiver in his voice betrayed his true feelings. "Come on, Luce, there's a logical explanation for everything. Maybe it's just someone trying to help." But as the headlights of the approaching truck began to pierce the darkness, illuminating their car in its bright white glow, Lucy's unease grew. The truck slowed as it neared them, its horn silenced, replaced by a low growl of its engine. Lucy noticed something even more terrifying than the approaching vehicle. Now and then, faint apparitions seemed to flicker at the edge of the woods, too quick to be discerned but just enough to send a shiver down her spine. They were mere shadows, but they seemed to be watching, waiting. Jake, trying to keep his composure, rolled down his window as the truck pulled up alongside them. The driver's side of the truck remained dark, its window up. No face was visible. Just a shadowed cabin, with only the dim light from the dashboard providing any illumination. Suddenly, a coin landed on the pavement near their car, gleaming under the faint light. Then another and another. The soft, almost melodic clinking of the coins hitting the ground sent an icy shiver down Lucy's spine. Neither Jake nor Lucy dared to speak. The coin legends of the young boy were just stories, right? But the mounting evidence seemed to indicate otherwise. As the phantom truck revved its engine and drove off, the two were left in the echoing silence, with only the glittering coins as proof of their otherworldly encounter. After what felt like an eternity, the couple mustered the courage to step out of their car. Lucy, her fingers trembling, bent down to pick up one of the coins. It was old, weathered, and cold to the touch. The date on it read, 1983. "Jake," Lucy stammered, holding the coin up to the faint light. "This coin, it's from the year I was born." Jake took a deep breath, trying to process the information. "It's just a coincidence, Luce," he murmured, but the doubt in his voice was evident. As they ventured further from the car, they noticed the child's laughter echoing faintly in the distance. A chilling breeze swept through the trees, causing the leaves to rustle in an almost mocking manner. Lucy's phone buzzed, breaking the eerie silence. It was a text from an unknown number. "Don't pick up the coins." Confused and terrified, Lucy showed the message to Jake. His face went pale, his lips moving, but no words coming out. Suddenly, the couple's surroundings began to shift. The road seemed to elongate, and the trees leaned in menacingly, casting ever-growing shadows. The world around them twisted and contorted, making it hard to distinguish between reality and illusion. Even the stars in the sky seemed to rearrange themselves, forming patterns and symbols unfamiliar to the human eye. A toy truck, eerily similar to the ones Jake played with as a child, rolled out from behind a tree, moving by itself. As it stopped in front of them, the faint silhouette of a young boy appeared, hovering above the toy. His face remained hidden in the shadows, but his intentions were clear. He wanted them to follow. Lucy clutched Jake's arm tightly, the lines between her past, present, and the legends of Clinton Road blurring. The air grew colder, the moonlight casting an almost hypnotic glow on the path the boy wanted them to take. Lucy's mind raced, memories from her childhood bubbling up. She remembered her grandmother's stories about restless spirits, the souls of those who departed with unfinished business. Jake, trying to mask his rising panic, whispered, "It's just a trick, an optical illusion. We're letting our fears get the best of us." But as they continued down the road, the spectral figure of the boy grew clearer. He would appear and vanish sporadically, always a few steps ahead, guiding them with an unseen force. Sometimes he would be playing with coins, other times simply standing, pointing deeper into the woods. Each time the couple found another coin, it bore a significant date from their lives. One from the year Jake's father passed away, another from the year Lucy graduated college, and yet another from the date of their wedding anniversary. Though the supernatural signs were infrequent, they were poignant and deeply personal, cutting through the couple's skepticism. The unseen force leading them was not malevolent but seemed to be seeking closure, a chance to communicate a message from beyond. At one point, the phantom trucks that locals often spoke about roared past them, their headlights blinding, only to vanish into the thick fog a moment later. Lucy and Jake held on to each other, trying to find comfort in the tangible, the real, amidst the ethereal experiences enveloping them. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the supernatural occurrences ceased. The road ahead seemed clearer, the fog lifting slightly, and the ghostly apparition of the boy was nowhere to be seen. The couple, now more bewildered than afraid, wondered if they had traversed some boundary between the realms of the living and the dead. The couple continued to drive in silence, their surroundings seemingly back to normal. However, the unease was palpable between them, the weight of the unexplained experiences pressing on their minds. It was during this tense quiet that the car sputtered and groaned, the engine struggling before giving out completely. Jake tried to restart the vehicle but to no avail. "Not now," he muttered, frustration evident in his voice. They were stranded on Clinton Road, in the dead of night, surrounded by an impenetrable fog and a history of inexplicable occurrences. Lucy, attempting to find a glimmer of hope, said, "Maybe we can call for help." But her optimism was short-lived as she realized there was no signal on her phone. She felt an overwhelming sense of vulnerability, a stark contrast to the comfort and security she had always associated with their old sedan. For the first time, the couple found themselves outside the safety of their car. Jake popped the hood, hoping it was a minor issue he could fix. Lucy, standing guard with a flashlight, felt the heavy silence of the woods around them, the feeble beam barely piercing the dense fog. Every rustle, every distant hoot of an owl made her jump. Jake's hands trembled slightly as he fumbled with the car's innards, realizing they were in a perilously defenseless position. Without warning, Lucy's flashlight flickered and went out. A cold breeze picked up, sending a shiver down her spine. The profound darkness, punctuated only by the car's hazard lights, further heightened their feeling of exposure. In the distance, they heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. Slow, deliberate, and getting closer. The footsteps grew louder, echoing through the dense fog. Every instinct told Lucy and Jake to hide, but they were paralyzed by fear. From the thickness of the fog emerged a figure. An old man with a long, white beard, his clothes tattered and muddy. In his hand, he clutched a lantern that gave off an eerie, blue light. Jake and Lucy exchanged a glance, wondering if this could be the ghost of the boy said to haunt the road. The man spoke, his voice gruff and filled with decades of weariness. "Lost, are you?" Lucy managed to find her voice. "Our car broke down. We were just trying to get through." The man nodded. "Many get lost on this road. Some by accident, some by choice." He looked directly at Jake. "The boy you saw earlier, he drowned in the reservoir nearby. He throws coins, hoping someone would throw one back, signaling a way out of his never-ending loop." Lucy, swallowing hard, asked, "And the trucks? The other apparitions?" All souls trapped on this road, he replied, his gaze distant. Time doesn't move the same here. Moments of tragedy repeat, ensnaring anyone who comes too close. The realization hit the couple like a ton of bricks. They were trapped in a time loop, a repeating cycle of horror and despair. The old man, seeing their realization, said, "There might be a way out, but it comes with a price." Without waiting for their response, he handed Jake a coin. "Throw this into the reservoir. If the boy returns it, you'll be free to leave. If not, well..." He trailed off, the implication clear. Jake and Lucy hesitated for a moment, the weight of the old man's words sinking in. Without a word, they made their way to the reservoir, guided only by the dim light of the lantern. Upon reaching the water's edge, Jake held the coin tightly in his hand, feeling its cold metallic surface. The reservoir was eerily still, the dense fog reflecting off the water. He took a deep breath and threw the coin in, watching as ripples formed and expanded outward. They waited in tense silence, every second stretching out indefinitely. Just when they were about to lose hope, a coin, glinting in the pale light, was thrown back from the water, landing at their feet. Overwhelmed with relief, Lucy and Jake picked up the coin and hurriedly made their way back to their car. Miraculously, the engine roared to life, and they drove away from Clinton Road as fast as they could. As they put distance between themselves and that cursed stretch of road, they couldn't shake off the overwhelming sense of unease. What was the history of that old man? Were they truly free, or had they unknowingly struck a deal with forces beyond their understanding? And most unsettling of all, when they checked the coin that was returned to them, it bore a date from the future. The deafening silence in the car was broken only by the hum of the engine and the rhythmic beating of the wipers against the rain-soaked windshield. As the car moved further away from the treacherous stretch of Clinton Road, the mysterious coin clutched tightly in Jake's hand seemed to grow heavier with each passing mile. Lucy, trying to make sense of what had transpired, ventured, "Do you think it's over?" Jake glanced at the coin and then back at the road, his knuckles white from gripping the steering wheel. "I don't know, Luce. This coin, the boy, that truck. It all feels intertwined. Like we're now a part of Clinton Road's legend." A heavy fog began to envelop the car, reducing visibility to mere feet. The once familiar landmarks of their town began to appear distorted, and the streets stretched out longer than they remembered. "We should have been home by now," Lucy whispered, her voice shaking. "This isn't our route. It's like the road's leading us somewhere." Suddenly, the headlights caught a figure standing in the middle of the road. Jake slammed on the brakes, swerving to avoid a collision. The car skidded to a halt, and as the dust settled, they realized the figure was the same ghostly boy from the bridge. He pointed towards a path that veered off the main road, his eyes beckoning them to follow. Jake, driven by an inexplicable urge, turned the car onto the path. The surroundings changed, with the modern buildings of their town replaced by older, decrepit structures, giving off a hauntingly vintage aura. Lucy's eyes darted around. This isn't our town. It's like we've traveled back in time." Jake, too stunned to speak, continued driving, drawn towards a dilapidated mansion at the end of the lane. The mansion, though in ruins, had a sinister allure. As they parked the car and stepped out, they heard whispers carried by the wind, recounting tales of Clinton Road. Inside the mansion, illuminated only by the moonlight filtering through the broken windows, were countless coins scattered on the floor, each bearing different dates, some from the past and others from the future. Lucy picked up one. These are all the coins thrown into the water. Every single traveler's wish." The realization dawned upon them that they weren't just visitors. They were now part of the road's tormented history. The chilling thought that they might never return to their time, forever trapped in this limbo between the past and future, gripped their hearts. From the shadows, The voice of the phantom boy echoed. Your wish was heard. But every wish has a price. As dawn broke, the vintage setting of the town began to merge with the modern structures of their time. But the couple was nowhere to be found. All that remained was their car, parked outside the mansion, and a coin with a yet-to-come date, resting on the driver's seat.